And one, and we are live again. Welcome everyone to another episode of the live stream show. Today, I'm going to start with this one question. And the question is, when someone comes up to you and they point a camera at your face, they hold up a camera and they go, smile. What's your reaction? Do you run away? Do you put your hands up like this and go, no, get that camera out of here? And if that's your reaction, if that's your knee jerk, like, oh my gosh, no, take that camera out of my face. Why do you think that is? Like, when we do that, what are we all afraid of? And why aren't we just comfortable when someone points a camera at us? You know, and go a little bit deeper. Why aren't we comfortable at showing ourselves? Like, we're walking around the world. In fact, these days we're walking around with these masks on, so we're not like even showing ourselves less than we used to. And people are seeing us. They see us at the grocery store. They see us getting gas at the gas station. They see us maybe going to the drive-in bank. All of those places are pretty much places you can probably go to still. And, or maybe they see you, you know, on the bike trail and so forth. And yet, like, you know, you're being seen. You know, people see you all the time and you know kind of what you look like. And yet, when it's a matter of, oh no, I'm going to have some sort of public image, the world is going to see me, we cringe away from that. We run and hide. We get into this, you know, down the rabbit hole mode. And this is almost universal. Like, it's an almost universal reaction. So this is a deal. Like, I have had this reaction. I continue to have this reaction sometimes. Things that trigger me. With practice, and because I get in front of the camera all the time, I'm much more used to it than I ever used to be. So, you know, cool. Like, it's possible to get comfortable. It's totally possible. But I wanted to go a little bit deeper than the normal, like, you know, confidence building stuff where they say, just do it, or just practice and you'll get better, or just, you know, push the record button and start talking. And pretty soon you'll feel fine. Because for a lot of people, that's not true. So I have brought a friend of mine, a former client, an energy healer. Her name is Phyllis Simonetta, and she is going to walk us through her own process. Because when we met, if I had pointed a camera at Phyllis, she might have had the same reaction. In fact, I did. I was trying to make her do things like live videos. What a crazy thing to ask her to do. So anyway, I just want to welcome you to the show, Phyllis, and thank you for being here.
Hey, Brad, thanks so much. I'm very happy.
And I really, first of all, I just want to appreciate your willingness and your courage, because you really have gone from a place of being like, I don't know if I can do this, to actually now you're doing regular Facebook Lives and you really are showing up for your audience in quite a, if not a very powerful way, but also a very, you know, connecting, empathetic, very generous way, which I really want to congratulate you for.
Oh, well, thank you. You helped give me my foundation. I appreciate that. I know.
Yeah. Okay. So let's sort of go back to a little bit of the before picture. First, I want you to explain a little bit about the work that you do. You know, I understand that you're a practitioner. Mm-hmm. And your main modality is Reiki. And so just take it from there.
Okay. So actually, a lot of it has evolved since we worked together. So my original foundational energy is Holy Fire Reiki. I teach Reiki, and that was the premise of my healing sessions. And in part of my evolution, I became aware of other energies, and now I have my own signature modality called Soul Radiance Healing. That is a blend of energies that goes really deep into your soul and deep into your heart for healing. But when we first met, I already had a passion for wanting people to be empowered to heal themselves. And I knew that that was part of what I was going to do. And a little bit of that was knowing that I needed to get out there. I knew that I needed to like show up in the world on Facebook, which is, you know, why I connected with you. I had all the right tools, but I still had this deep-seated, gut-wrenching fear for showing up live. And it didn't really make sense why I had that fear. So, and you're probably going to have to rein me back in because I'm going to end up going off on a tangent if not. So
Okay.
feel free to do that.
Well, let me just pause for a second and just interject there and say, okay, gut-wrenching fear. Like, what do you think that was? Like, why? And I'm just curious. Like, we often, like, you're not the only one. Like, I
Right.
know that there are people watching. They're going, oh man, that resonates with me. And in fact, if you are watching and it does resonate with you, go ahead and say so. We can see you in the chat. We've already got a couple people here, and Gina says, I smile and pose. That's so great.
Good for you. That's awesome.
I do that. That's a really good habit, Gina, especially just before you're hitting the record button. You just smile and pose and then hit the record button. It really helps.
Strike a pose.
Okay, so tell me the gut-wrenching fear. Like, what do you think that was all about for you?
So what ultimately it was a fear of being seen. It was a fear of being hurt or harmed in some way because I was being vulnerable and I was showing myself to the world. And going live, you can see names, but you don't actually see people. But this also became part of my regular life, that I had a period of time that I developed social anxiety. So it was all together. And the bottom line is it's all about energy and energy patterns, and the energy patterns that we have from traumas in our current life, from traumas in our past lives, our soul experiences. And I learned a lot about that. And I learned about some of the energy patterns that I brought forward into this life. And as we go on our spiritual revolution, things come up for us to heal, and then other layers come up and other layers come up. And at this point in time, what was coming up was a deep-seated fear of being seen, fear of being hurt, fear of being vulnerable, which intellectually I knew was completely unreasonable. It didn't make sense why my body was so constricted that it would like send me running for the bathroom. Like if I tried to do a live, I would have to do it like, well, actually, so I didn't do live. So we worked together, right, Brad? And I think one of the last things I said to you is, I'll probably be ready for this in about a year. And that was exactly when I was ready to go live. I didn't really know that I was going to have this huge expansion in between, but that is exactly what happened. And so I laughed. I emailed that to you because the energy healing, I just kept giving myself Reiki, and every time I raised my vibration, I felt better, and I got a little less anxious, and I got a little less fearful, and really that's what it was.
So tell me a little bit about that process, because if I'm feeling anxious, I don't necessarily go find the fear doctor.
Right.
So what did you do? Was this work that you were able to do on yourself, by yourself, or did you actually go and get help from other people?
I did both. I continued to give myself Reiki because at the time that was my modality that I had access to. And then I just knew that there was something else going on. There was something deeper because it just didn't make sense. There was a disconnect for why my body was responding the way that it was responding in the tools that I had to go live and show up in the world. And so I sought other energy healers. There's something, and I'd actually be really curious to know if anybody's heard of this, Akashic Records. I had an Akashic Record reading, and that Akashic Records are the information of your soul that is stored in this ethereal library. And I learned that there have been many, many times in my soul experiences that I have been harmed, that I have been hurt, that I have been publicly humiliated, that I have been killed. I know that sounds a little extreme. This is me in the energy world. So if you're new to it, you might be like, I don't really know what she's talking about. And so, right. And so as I learned that, I had an understanding of where the fear came from. And, we're emotional beings. That's our experience in the world. And the heart is our emotional energy center. So when you step into your heart and you really start to dig in, that's where you can find your answers, like deep within your heart, which is, connected to your soul. But yeah, I couldn't do it on my own. I needed some help. Energy healers need help too.
Yeah, for sure. Well, okay. So what did it feel like? Like what was the transition? Like, did you wake up one day and go, I'm fearless.
No, actually,
or rather, in your words, I'm open-hearted. Like what was when did you feel the shift, and what did it feel like?
so it was pretty miraculous, actually, and remarkable. So going back a little more than a year, this is pre-pandemic. This is January, and this is going to seem unrelated, but it actually is. I was doing a Reiki presentation for a group of people, and I still had that gut-wrenching fear of social anxiety, and I was like, this cannot keep happening. So I had that, and then 2 months later, I had been connected with another energy modality, which raised my vibration, so I now practice 2 modalities. Pandemic hits. We get shut down. There's nowhere to go, nowhere to be. We have no choice but to go within. And I started becoming aware of, well, actually, I had become aware that my energy healing sessions with my clients had started changing. My hands were doing different things, but I didn't know exactly what was happening. All of a sudden, my hands started, like sign language, started moving. And what came to me was light language. And the light language, it was at that moment in time that my anxiety dissolved, because I had finally raised my vibration enough, stepped in and owned who I was as a person. And I needed to show up for other people, because we were in such a state of fear and confusion that I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do something. So then I started doing Reiki in the morning time. And then I started doing just the Reiki healings in groups that I belonged to, so that I could access groups of people. And then as I practiced and as the light, what's called light language, it's language of the soul, started to come through my voice, that continued to heal me. And so, I did some before I came on live, because I didn't have gut-wrenching fear. I was really excited. What I felt today was like the anticipatory butterflies in the stomach, like, oh, what's the conversation going to be like? Who's going to be here? What are we going to talk about? But in that excitement, I got worked up. So I had to sit down and do my own self-healing. And I think that part of breaking the energy patterns is being aware of self-care, self-love. Energy is everything. You have to take care of your energy, and the energy can break through those patterns of fear. At least that's what it did for me.
Yeah. So, okay. So one of the things I'm hearing is that not only did you do this work on yourself, but right now, like, people could actually get this kind of work done by working with you.
Yes.
Like anybody who's watching this, especially even if you're watching on the replay,
yes.
Phyllis is someone you can hook up with if this is a place that you would like to get to.
Yeah.
This is really the reason that I wanted to bring Phyllis on, because I know, like, I did this post just this week talking about how to get confident on camera. And instead of going on and saying, well, I'm going to tell you how to get confident on camera, I just asked the question. I said, okay, you guys, I know a lot of you are, doing video. Tell me your best suggestion for how to get camera confidence. And I got a whole bunch of comments. I got a bunch of comments on Facebook. I got a whole other bunch of comments over on LinkedIn, and everybody chimed in with their own personal suggestions, all of which was really good. And yet, even with all of those strategies, all of these are mostly head-centered strategies of like, do this step, breathe, drink some water, like all these things that are good ideas. Like, these are all things that can help. Mm-hmm. It still doesn't address what you're talking about. Like, right. It's not getting to that place.
Right.
And so I just think that this work has high value, and the truth is hardly anybody really knows about it. Like, it's not really truly mainstream.
Right. Right. And it's so accessible. And the thing that I like, that I want people to know, is that, like, Reiki energy to me is like the gateway energy. When you are connected and you're attuned to Reiki, no matter what lineage, no matter what form, you're starting to do that work on yourself. It brings you to the next level. It automatically brings you to raise your vibration, to elevate your consciousness, to know that there's more to the world and that you're empowered. In your own hands, you can put your hands on your body and feel relief. And that as you continue to do that, and you continue to let the energy flow through your heart, flow through your body, you release more and more energy patterns that no longer serve you. They get stuck. I'm reading this book called The Untethered Soul, and Michael Singer talks about the word, I think it's samskara, and it's blocked energy patterns in your body. And when you don't let them go, that's what causes disease and fear and, everything. And that's essentially when you transcend that fear, you get to that place of love, you get to that higher vibration, and you get away from the lower vibrations of anxiety, depression. I can't think of the other fear words right now, but anything that's not love is fear. And that's what you want to let go of. And you know what? We're human. We're here having our emotional experiences, and that's going to happen. But when you have the power to change your own energy patterns, then you recover that much quicker. And there's so many fabulous strategies, and it doesn't take the place of medical care, but it works with you. And it's so essential, and it's so beautiful. And I've been practicing Reiki for a long time. And it's because of that I think I am doing my personal healing work that could get me to that next level. And I do. And I so appreciate you bringing attention to the importance of this work, Brad, because it's so easy and so accessible and so worth it. If you think about it, if you didn't have insurance and you see a therapist, like how much money you would have to pay to see a therapist, when you could actually, in addition to that, pay somebody to go get energy work and feel better. I've even had people say, oh my gosh, this energy session felt better than a massage. Now, that's not knocking massages, because I love them. They're awesome. But there's so many ways that you can release energy out of your body and feel the joy in your heart. That's ultimately what it is. The love and the joy is what will help you step out. Because I did that, then I could go back and use the tools that I learned from you and bring them forward. And now I love going live. It's fun. I have this really cool modality called light language now that's fun, and it heals people, and it's engaging. And I'm like, this is awesome.
Well, I think maybe you've got a fan.
Oh,
Phil says,
yes.
I want your energy.
Thanks, Phil.
Phil is, he's calling in all the way from New Zealand.
Oh, that's impressive. Thank you for chiming in. Thank you.
Yeah, so I actually was watching one of your the video that you just made, I think just a couple days ago, and you were talking about the book.
Yes.
And you were telling a story about your daughter and socks.
Oh my gosh.
You want to share that story?
Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. Yes. So this is part of like the blocked energy pattern. So before I started doing my energy work, and even a little after that, I would just get worked up over everything. I was in a constant state of chaos in my head. I was scattered. Every little thing was like an overwhelming project that was just too much. And I used to get stressed out because my daughter has a very different idea of how to keep up after herself than I do. And so she has this really funny habit of taking her socks off, and they get left all over the house. They don't even match. They're inside out. They're there. And it used to drive me crazy. And I used to feel myself, my heart constrict, and I used to get really about it. And so the other day, and it would happen to be the Tuesday, it's like the divine timing of how things work out. I look over on the floor and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's another pair of socks on the floor in addition to the ones that are over there under the kitchen table. And then I just stopped and I laughed, partly because of the work that I've been doing on myself, partly because of the book. And I was like, you know what? They're socks. There's not a volcano erupting. She's going to college soon. Those socks aren't going to be on the floor. It's really not a big deal. And I allowed that energy to flow, and I allowed the joy to stay in my heart. So what used to send me off in a tizzy and have me get all self-righteous about something on the floor, I was just like, okay, whatever. It's all good. There's other things to think about. And that's like part of the beauty of the energy healing. You let go of those things. You let go of those things that don't matter anymore so that you can be free to show up. I have this saying that, and this is part of the self-care and the self-love of energy healing and releasing those patterns, is that it's all about you because it's not about you at all. And what I mean by that is that the more work you do on yourself, the more you show up as your true, authentic self, like soul level, shining, radiant light, the more you show up to serve humanity. And that's how we raise the consciousness of humanity, is we work on ourselves, which is super important, not selfish at all. It's really necessary. And then in doing that, we show up as the light wherever we go. You know, we let go of those lower vibrations of anxiety and depression, the things that just keep you like knotted up, like that prevent you from going live. And then you can look back and go, well, that was just silly. I love going live. It's a lot of fun. So anyway, yeah. Time to bring me back on track.
Let's relate what you were just sharing in terms of being able to let go of things to the fact that you now are doing regular live videos. And so what I'm wondering is, you know, how does that actually function for you as somebody who's now willing, like more than willing, to just not only get in front of the camera, but to actually be serving your audience in this very, very giving way?
Yeah. So do you mean what the how I got to that place?
Yeah, well, it's like what I'm hearing from you is that now you've moved on from getting mad at socks on the floor,
Right.
and at the same time you've moved on from being afraid of the camera or afraid to be seen.
Yeah.
And so now you've got this liberation going. It's like, okay, now I'm liberated, which means that I can do these things. I can see socks on the floor and laugh about it, and I can get in front of the camera and laugh about that too.
Right.
So just tell me a little bit more about the experience on camera for you.
So what I realized is that when I show up on camera and there's engagement, there's something that happens in your brain, some chemical that happens in your brain, and it's exciting. And when people are engaging and they're telling me about their experiences, I get more excited because I know that I'm serving them. I know that I've stepped into my gifts. I know that I'm showing up, certainly not as a perfect human, but I'm showing up as who I am. And I'm giving. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they love this. I love this. They share it. It feels like an honor. You know, it doesn't feel like a chore, you know, like it had to be. And I got to that point because once I was no longer afraid, I had to be pushed to be challenged. And I was challenged by my current coach, challenged me, and I did. And the more I did it, the better it felt. So I know that I'm sharing that energy with the people who are watching, whether they're watching live or they're watching on replay. And I want them to have that I can do it. I can feel good. I can feel the joy in my heart feeling as well. So I guess it just ended up being a natural transition, you know, and I decided I had to make a decision. I'm like, it wasn't going to work in my life to show up live every day after I did the challenge. So what I committed to was every Tuesday. And now every Tuesday at noontime, I show up with a little energy tip or something to share and a transmission for whatever my guides give me that day. And I know that people receive it and they love it. You know, and I know that they're sharing it. So it feels really good to show up and serve. And really, that's kind of what we need to do, show up as who we are with our gifts so that we can all help each other, you know, elevate.
Yeah, I was noticing that you actually are getting quite a bit of interaction and commenting on your videos, which I think is fabulous. Yeah. And I also noticed that your setup is pretty simple.
Yes.
You know, so share like how technical is the way that you actually make video.
Okay, I put a tripod up, I stick my phone on the tripod, and then I hit go. Because I'm not, technology scares me. I'm not technology savvy. I'm someone whose passwords end up not working, and I don't know why. I'm someone who can't figure things out just because it's not what I want to do. But it is so easy. In fact, it's easier to do it on the phone than the camera. So I love that, you know. I grab the tripod, I put it up. And this is one of the things that I did too to have fun, is I started playing with the filters when I first started going live again, because they're eye-catching. And I remember something that you said, Brad, is, you know, do something that's kind of attention-getting. And for me, that eased me into the playfulness and the playing of it. But yeah, so easy. Grab your tripod and your camera and hit the red button and you're good to go. And that's all you have to do. I'm like, it is that easy. I can do that. You can do that.
Oh, I love it. That's so great. All right. So let's just kind of wrap this up. If if there's one thing, you probably just said it, but if there's one thing that you'd really like to impart to the world today at the end of this discussion, what would that be?
Oh, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Raise your vibration by sinking into your heart. The anxiety, the depression, it might be there as a trigger for a reason, but dig into it, and you don't have to live with that. You can be anyone you want to be. You can step into your light with a little bit of energy healing, whether you learn to do it for yourself or you come to me or you go to somebody else. Just know that those energy patterns don't have to keep you stuck, that you can get rid of them. You can release them and let them go and just be who you are and have fun.
Nice.
Fun is really important.
Right. Totally. Have fun. All right. So if people would like to follow up with you, what's the best way to do that?
Well, as of 2 hours ago, I have a brand new website, and it's going to be super easy.
Wow! Congratulations.
No, it's big because so many things have changed. It is PhyllisSimonetta.com. Very easy. Just my name plus .com. I'm also on Facebook under the same name, and my business page is Phyllis Simonetta Energy Healing and Classes. So my name is everywhere, so you can't forget my name. It's all there. And I have lots of offerings. I have Holy Fire Reiki classes, my signature modality of Soul Radiance Healing. I have another modality called Illumination, burns right through all the junk, light language transmission, so much to choose from. And a Let's Chat button where you can just set up a free consultation call and we can chat. Oh, thanks, Brian.
Right. Awesome. Okay. And not only do you do work in terms of helping people with their stuff, but you're also doing certification work, right? You actually help people become practitioners.
Yes, I do.
Right?
Absolutely. You can become certified in level Holy Fire 3, level 1, 2, and Reiki Master Teacher level. And I love teaching the classes because I really want you to be empowered to take care of your own energy. And that's what it's about. Be empowered to take care of your own energy. So, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This is really great.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun. Can we do this again?
We can. I'm sure we can.
Okay, cool.
All right, cool. So I am going to say goodbye to everybody. I've got Phyllis's website right here on the screen, Phyllis Simonetta. And you say that in an Italian accent. So it's Simonetta. PhyllisSimonetta.com. Give her a ring. If you too want to be able to enjoy and thrive and have fun and be liberated and be open-hearted with not only going live. I mean, going live would be a good start, but with just about everything you do, like even if you're, a sullen teenager leaves their socks and a whole bunch of other junk all over the floor. Even if that happens, you will be so open-hearted and liberated that no big deal. What's the deal? If that's you, check out Phyllis. She's going to be helping you out on that. And I thanks you guys for being here today. Join me next week. I've got another great show coming up. Oh man, I put out the word, like, who wants to just talk about anything they're most passionate about? I got some great responses. So those people are coming on in the next couple of weeks. So every Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, I think that's noon time if you're in the Pacific zone. And if you're in other parts of the world, well, you just have to figure it out. So see you then, Thursday, 3 p.m. Until then, so long, everyone.